All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Hi guys, Gillian Leivers here, just checking in with you. You all know me, the man fighting the grave miscarriage of justice.
Don't flinch. We're pulling the curtain back on the injustice on the Greenfeeds case, where verdicts were handed down, but justice was not served. So buckle up. This isn't just a broadcast, it's a reckoning. This is a case of a grievous injustice, and we want to understand how things went so wrong. Listen in every Saturday between 12 and 2 p.m. and hear how the story unfolds. You'll be blown away by its content. Only on Dreamcatcher Radio.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
Okay, we are back for episode number 47 on the Greenfeeds injustice case. We all know where this is going. We're definitely going to see this out for at least 52 episodes, to the much annoyance of other people. And we're not trying to annoy other people, and it's only a certain few that get annoyed, and they don't have to listen in to hearing about this series. And in all honesty, the only people that get annoyed is ex-employees of the Greenfeeds incident. And for that, I'm not ashamed of. In fact, you know, when I hear more and more, I have a massive amount of frustration, not only for the victims, but also for the fact that Gillian Leivers is in jail and she should not ought to be there. And we've got so many elements of basically where Gillian, and indeed Ian in many respects, but you know, this series is about Gillian Leivers. She's sitting in jail, Ian is not. And about the injustice of where you've got errors in law, you've also got massive contradictions. The way the appellate court works is focusing on errors in law, technicalities, and that sort of stuff. But this case is an actual farcical. It's a joke beyond anybody's imagination, and I wouldn't wish this on anybody. And you know, I'm not ashamed that we're continuing on with this series, because this is so important for people to learn how things can go so wrong. And I started off on episode 2 that I knew something wasn't right. Nothing's, you know, stood up. Ian is a very good talker, good communicator, good salesman, but he doesn't have to sell. We've got the paperwork. We're going through it week in, week out. And we haven't even got to even Gillian Leivers yet, which goes on to something like 60 odd pages. And she's the one languishing in jail. Jail is no fun. And it's not fair. It's not right. It's not just. And I know Ian gets a proportionate amount of hate on his social media for his campaigning that he's doing. But what else do you do? The fact is, Gillian Leivers shouldn't be in jail. And that's something, the position that robustly both Phil, who's joining us now for our weekly episode, agree with. And there's certain things that Phil and I don't agree with. Some of it is actually non-contentious, really, but it's like little factoids. But Phil is very knowledgeable in terms of all the information. He collates it for us on this series every single week, and I'm so grateful. So, guys, good afternoon. We've got Phil Bentley. Hi, Phil.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
And we've got Ian Leivers, who just completed I think you recently completed a marathon or something, isn't it?
I've done a couple of half marathons this past few weeks. I do all this for my mental health, for strength, for the PTSD. You know, whether it be a full marathon or half marathon, you put in as much effort in whichever event it is. And they're not easy. But when you complete them, you know, you feel good, you get the endorphin rush. I do a few other things as well. As you know, the cold water therapy. and fasting. And I want to mention fasting tonight for people, for listeners to understand other people who have suffered PTSD. You know, we know that obviously Lucy Letby's suffered PTSD, and she was set up when those police went into her bedroom in 2016. She suffered PTSD, and she was not the same person thereafter. And so, of course, she wrote odd things in notes, which when she was rearrested, they used against her. So anyway, I also do fasting, and it takes a lot of mental strength, and I want people to understand this. I was aiming for a 3-day fast. I started Sunday evening, and I got to nearly lunch today. But through PTSD, and when you're not always getting through each day as you want to be, if you're not getting your sleep, which I'm not at the moment, you know, last night I was down to 4 or 5 hours, and it's not enough. We need 7 to 8 hours, and this has been proven in studies. Otherwise, you can contract such as things like dementia and Alzheimer's. Anyway, I was feeling crushed at about 11 o'clock this morning after getting through about 40 hours, and through not being as strong as I should be to continue, I broke the fast, but I did something wrong. I gouged, and I ate an awful lot of food, and that's why I've been so ill this afternoon. I've suffered. I don't need to explain how I've suffered, but yeah, I'm just starting to feel a little bit better. So for anyone who wants to do fasting, I highly recommend it for autopathy, for a body cleanse, getting rid of dead cells. It's great for all of that, but you do need a clear, focused mind, set on the goal that you're going to achieve, and you must get your sleep.
Okay, on that note, Phil, how many marathons have you done this week?
I've had 3 marathons, 2 Mars bars, and a packet of crisps. And the water I'm drinking is cold therapy water, but it was made by Coors.
You're on the right path.
I am the antipathy of Ian. Everything that he says is good for you, I do the opposite, unfortunately. Apart from he did talk me into going to the gym.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. I was just saying, go on, Phil, got you back into the gym, so thank you, and I'm pleased about that.
Yeah, I was there this morning, mate.
As we get older, Phil, resistance training is, I think, the most important one.
Yeah, absolutely. I practice getting up off the floor. That's what I do.
Well, you have to sleep on the floor.
No, it's a thing with old people, Brad. They fall over, they can't get up, and they're there for days.
All right, let's move on. Okay, we are going back to the transcript or the solicitor's notes from, who is it, Phil?
This is Martin Joe Vardy.
Yeah, we're going into Martin Vardy now.
Could I just say something else before we begin? Uh-huh. You mentioned these ex-employees of mine. Well, did they continue working for me after the death? So why would they hate me so much if they continued to work for me for 4 years after? Nobody left straight after the death, so they couldn't have blamed us. So it's food for thought, isn't it? Why don't they want the truth to be known? But coming on to that, how they like to rub salt in the wounds, which they have done this past 4 years since I've been out of jail. They like to say this: why didn't you take the stand? You threw Gillian under the bus. Now, us three will understand this because you're going through attendance notes. It's documented in the attendance notes. Gillian's barrister, who we signed to head up the team, said this: Ian Leivers must not take the stand. We must not let him take the stand. And so that is the reason I didn't take the stand. And to follow on from that, in the attendance notes, he also says this:
I cannot defend this company.
Well, yes, Phil, but also he says this: we cannot have Jake Welch give testimony because he's Ian's mate.
It doesn't work like that, though. It doesn't work like that, Ian. You can have character references, all sorts of different witnesses. The
The thing is, though, Brad. I mean, the police took 5 years to get this to come to court.
that's what I don't understand, Phil. I don't get it.
They're not going to bring anybody into court that's likely to stand up and break the narrative. Nobody's going to come to court that's going to stand up and damage their narrative. They're just not going to do it, and that makes me wonder where justice actually sits. It actually sits with the defence. They should have got off their arse and done something. You know, they should have put up a really good defence, not put up no defence, which is what they did. Absolutely no defence whatsoever. The poor woman stood no chance. Absolutely no chance.
The thing is, in this case, it wasn't even shallow, Phil. It was. No. It was. You're lucky if it's half a teaspoon of sugar. There was one barrister that had a little go at it, but he didn't push any boundaries. He just moved on all the time. Something I sent you guys today. I don't want to talk about it too much, but from the Ralph Christie injustice case, and here's in a document, right? And it's a farcical document. And this is a document prepared for Ralph Christie in his case of injustice. And it's titled Advice Re Defence Witnesses. And I'm not joking, it goes around the houses like anything. So he had 13 proposed witnesses. How many witnesses do you reckon were the defence put on the stand? How many out of the 13?
13.
How many? So defence witnesses, how many out of the 13 do you reckon the defence put on the stand?
8.
8. What do you reckon, Ian?
Just Ralph, 1.
Okay, neither Ralph nor any of them.
Wow.
And, you know, his is a financial fraud. I know your case is different, but he was promised, just like you, well, you were promised, based on what you've said, I've not seen it in writing yet, that if you go on the stand, you're going to send Gillian to jail. He was promised, and obviously she's in jail. And he was promised, if you go on the stand and put these witnesses forward, you'll end up going to jail. But we'll assure you that you won't go to jail if you don't go on the stand. And what happened to him? He went to jail. What a messed up system, huh? And the thing is, there's no recourse. You can't say, well, you know, I want to buy back guarantee. I want to, you know, redo this and all that sort of stuff like you can do with your credit card when you have a faulty product. It's say la vie, mate. That's all it is.
It's interesting. I was reading what Andy Burnham's going to do with the justice system, you know, with the prisoners and things like that. How he's going to give some early releases to some violent criminals, and how he's got to be very careful. I mean, you can't let rapists out, things like that. Murderers, you can't let murderers out. And I thought to myself, he said he was going to let more women out than men and convert the parts of women's prisons over to men, because we need more men's spaces than we do women's spaces. Women are more apparently less threat to society than men. And I thought, well, where will Gillian stand in all of this? I mean, we don't even think she should be in there in the first place. She's been fitted up good and proper by the staff, by the police, by, you know, by the system, basically. Is she going to be looked upon favourably, or is she considered to be a danger to society? Be interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I will say, right, all these early releases, they don't work, because the thing is, they get recalled pretty quickly. I think out of, I think it was something like early releases that started, I think it was last 2 years, pretty much about 90% got recalled within the first couple of months.
Yes, Brad, because the system isn't set up to give those people who have been released support. Yes, victims of crime need support, but also prisoners, when they've been in jail, they're not the same people again. They've suffered mentally, and they just throw them out, and there's not the support there.
Okay, here's a question for you. An interesting debate I had a few days ago. There's more support for prisoners than there is for victims. What do you say, you?
Well, I disagree. Probation isn't really fit for purpose at this moment in time. I hope it changes. But I know from when I was in jail, the people who were being released and coming back. And over this past 4 years, I've also know, because I was friends with officers in Drake Hall, they all knew our story. You saw me outside there weekly. And many officers told me stories of where they dropped women at the train station, knowing that they're becoming immediately back. And it's happening all the time.
Mm. Okay.
And they say it's heartbreaking because
what do you say about that, Phil? There's more support for prisoners than there is for victims.
I'm saying I don't really know, to be truthful, Brad.
Okay.
I really don't know. I would suspect that there's it depends which side of the fence you're on, really. I would think if you've been a victim of crime, you probably would say, "Oh, there's no support for victims of crime." And if you're coming out of prison, being turfed in the street, you're probably going to be saying, "Well, there's no help for prisoners." I think it's probably a double-edged sword, to be truthful.
Quite true. I believe the same as well. Okay, good answer. Okay, let's go do this. Martin Vardy called in and affirmed. Full name: Martin Joe Vardy, employment at Hillcrest. This is you now, Phil.
So, name of company: Hillcrest Limited.
Yes, I work there. Yes.
Now, Greenfeeds.
I believe so. Yes.
Normanton.
Yes.
The purpose of the company:
made animal feed, liquid pig feed supplied to farms and company. Just to warn listeners, this is going to be a hard read, the way this is being laid out. Phil, go on.
Employment some time ago.
2012, 2013.
Left in April 2013.
I did.
You worked there about 18 months at the time you left.
I did, correct.
Your role at Hillcrest?
I worked for Gillian Leivers on sales side, trying to attract business, but also looked after FEMAS side, accredited part of the feed market. Ian, what do you say about that?
Yeah, well, of course he did health and safety as well, but like everyone, nobody wanted to take responsibility, and this court case was set up for no one else to take any responsibility, to push all the blame onto Gillian.
All right. This is 2000. So he left in 2013 now.
Yeah, and as you know, FEMAS encompassed health and safety.
Yeah, we've established that now. Yeah. Okay, Phil, go ahead.
So what did managing FEMAS side of the business involve?
We had to make sure ingredients went into pig feed correct and weren't harmful to the animals that were going to eat it. A case of making sure we had the right products went in there, along with FEMAS, various tick boxes to do, a bit of health and safety in there, or at least he owns up to a bit more than that other woman. A bit of documentation on a regular basis, various things like that needed to be in place to pass FEMAS audit, like a yearly audit.
Right, I've got a question for you, Ian. What constituted pig feed then? I mean, how is it meted out to equal pig feed?
And the nutritional values of it, Phil.
Go on. Explain to me how I would end up, if I've got a load of second-hand products, how I would end up with something that constitutes pig feed.
Okay, so what we was selling was a high-energy pig feed. That's why confectionery blend. I wasn't selling. I used to sell them in different lines. So I'd sell skim milk to one farm. I might sell beer to another farm. There's energy with beer. Some
just single products.
Products. That was what I was originally doing.
Yeah.
But a nutritionist called Philip McTiffin suggested to me that I make a high energy feed for pigs. And so I went out to see products which was energy, like cakes, breads energy, you know,
Yeah.
pastry,
Yogurts and things.
dough, pizzas, those sort of things. But with having dairy in there, which I always sought to get, I ensured that I had amino acids and protein, because if you've got dairy in the product, nutritionists knew this, and that was added value for them, because I wasn't selling the protein element, I was selling energy, because protein was very expensive to buy. So let's just look at it energy wise. Let's just say, and it's not, wheat's £200 a ton, but you might be buying soya at £1,000 a ton, and so that's a protein source. So with nutritionists knowing that I've got dairy with my feed, it was very sought after. And so to answer it, Phil, it was a mixture of energy sources, carbohydrates, cakes, breads, the profiteroles, mince pies, those sorts of things blended together that formed part of this energy feed.
How would the likes of Vardy or a Maruniac or even a Jack Maruniac know what to mix with what?
Okay, so the liquid element they'd put into the mixing tank, Jake changed it when he took over, by the way. They'd put, say, let's just say they'd put a third of liquid in the tank, and that could have been milk or yogurt. And then they'd have different bays with, and it could be the molasses and meal from Remenko in one bay. It could have the profiteroles in another bay. And then from the chocolate shed, which was further up the yard that you guys saw, there was debagging chocolate. When Nikki Maruniak said she was bagging chocolate, I was paying them actually to debag, because it used to come in big bags. And then you'd have the loading shovel bucket and a loading shovel up there. One of the JCBs put the chocolate into the bucket. They'd come down to the mixing shed and they'd tip it into another bay. So then the people who's doing the mixing would use so much chocolate. So that's how it worked, Phil. And then they'd keep blending it and mixing it until it appeared right, and they knew by sight. And then they'd pump it through into the holding tank. We'd take a sample of the product as it was going on the lorry, and then it would go on the moisture balance tester. And you could bet your bottom dollar would always hit round about the 40% parameter. It could sometimes, if there was a lot of oily product in there, been 50%. And that's okay, because the farmer purchased it on dry matter. So we dried every load, and then we had a sheet that went into the office, and then Gillian would come in, or whoever else would ring the farmer, and they'd also have a moisture balance tester at their end. We'd cross-reference what the dry matters were, and if you was a percent or so out, they'd always, believe it or not, say it was a little bit lighter on dry matter. You'd come to an agreement, and then you'd invoice out for the dry matter. Because don't forget, when they take a load in, it's costing them an awful lot of money, and they need to get their ration right. So if there was high dry matter in there, they wouldn't put so much into their mix. But they liked it. The nutritionists always worked on the basis that it was circa 40% dry matter. And that's how.
That's a good explanation. Thanks for that. That gives me a better idea. I mean, these people that are working in the mixing shed then have to have a certain level of intelligence to know what they're producing.
Absolutely. The Maruniak were very good at it, Phil. Don't forget, Dave Maruniak had been mixing from my father, from a small boy, actually. Yes, he went down the mines, and he came back to work for me in the 1990s. He was mixing the same products to feed the pigs at Bottisford when we kept pigs there. And this just changed when we stopped keeping the pigs. We started to make the confectionery blend. And Phil McTiffin, who suggested me doing this, when he first suggested it, I thought it was outrageous. I didn't think it would work. But boy, it was very, very successful. It was right. And so, yeah, that's how it changed. That's what we did.
Cool. Okay, Brad. What sort of health and safety
is
involved?
It's one above.
in FEMA's side of business.
Yeah, it's the one above, isn't it?
We did that.
Did we? Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'll reply. What sort of health and safety involved in FEMA's side of business? This is his response. Just making sure everyone knew to keep safe. It's an interesting word, isn't it? And from day one, make sure looking after environment worked in. That's another interesting one. If you had a bit of mess on the floor, could be slip and trip hazard, make sure cleaned up. Again, another interesting one. I don't know where this is going, this one. It seems quite interesting. I used to do TBT
Toolbox talks
in canteen to make sure people remember what to do. Oh, wow.
That's incredible.
So
So
this
basically,
is
there he's just mentioned the ethos of health and safety. That's
So-
crazy.
When was Nikki? Is it Nikki Johnson? When was she at the business? Ian, remind me again.
She was there at the same time, but she took over Martin's role when he left. It was
There'd be transference then, wouldn't there?
Oh, of course, yes. Martin went around the site with Sam Ramage and Nikki. I think Lance was with them as well on that day when he was handing over. He did it all very professionally, and Nikki took over Martin's role.
Right. Okay. Go on, Phil.
But effectively, they were getting, they were encouraged to clean up. They were encouraged to listen to toolbox talks. So they were basically getting health and safety delivered to them. Yet none of them, that they all claimed they never had any health and safety.
Was this guy a witness in court, Ian?
Yeah. Prosecution witness, Brad. However, we find a little further down, the prosecution barrister, John Harrison, didn't like those answers, and he claimed he was a style witness.
I knew this was too good to be true. Okay, fine. Okay, let's carry on then. Come on, Phil.
How did you get your job at Hillcrest?
I was looking for alternative career, working for a software company in Nottingham. Known Ian Leivers for a few years. I knew his work friend had left Nick. So I asked Ian Leivers, he was looking for anyone, and he said, yes, interview. That would be great. So I did.
2013.
Yeah, it's a little bit more.
Known Ian Leivers about 20 years.
On and off, yes. We're from the same area, Mansfield, Sutton, in the kind of area everyone knew everyone.
Friends on and off through the period.
Yes.
Since leaving business, a lot of contact with him.
Seen him on various occasions, used to go and watch football or talk about music. Seen him a few times.
Anything to do with health and safety other than through the FEMAS materials side of the business?
No, I was employed mainly for FEMAS. That was health and safety. Day one said health and safety started with yourself. Up to you and look after yourself.
Yeah, I mean, well, outside of FEMAS, what else was there in the business? FEMAS drove the business, didn't it? It was the standard for the business.
Yeah, I think what he's saying here, you need to make sure you look after yourself, I guess.
Yeah, I understand that. But he's saying to him, did you have anything to do with health and safety other than through FEMAS? Or what else other than FEMAS would warrant health and safety in that business? They're not doing roofing, are they, on the side, or, laying roads? All they do is produce feed to the FEMAS standard.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's asking him there. He's crazy.
Okay.
I think that's what I'm thinking anyway. So whilst you were there, HC brings in health and safety advisors.
Who's HC?
Hillcrest.
Hillcrest.
Oh, right, okay. Yes, Nick left. Gentleman I thought was health and safety guy before. Ian Leivers brought in Sam Oxley.
Good, you'll remember here. Can I just interact there? He's talking about Nick Bradshaw that used to do the role before Martin did the FEMAS. Now, Nick Bradshaw set the scheme up. He got us into FEMAS. A very intelligent man. He was the accountant as well. Why wasn't he called to court?
By all accounts, not many people were called to court, if anybody, in your defence.
You're lucky you got in there, Ian, as well.
Well, he
So
didn't,
whilst you were there, Hillcrest and health and safety advisors. Hillcrest bring in health and safety advisors.
Okay, bear with me. I've got so part of external company. That's what I've got next. Phil.
So I'll finish it for you then, Brad.
Go on then.
Yeah, Nick left. Gentleman I thought was health and safety guy before. Ian Leivers brought in Sam Moxley, lived in close proximity. Close proximity. She was health and safety person to my mind.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I'll see where we're at now. All right, go on.
So part of external company.
Yes, had a gentleman come and do telehandler course. Her father, he mentioned SO Sam Oxley was health and safety officer, and so it was perfect fit for Hillcrest and to get Sam Oxley on board.
Because before, when Nick was there, it was Nick that organised the 5-year contract with Peninsula, but that was never mentioned in this case at all.
So they never even knew about Peninsula.
No, Phil.
Who didn't know? The court?
The court, yeah.
No way.
No, that's true.
After all this time, I was talking about Peninsula.
Yeah.
We now found out that they were not even mentioned in court.
No.
Oh my days! I did not know that. How is that possible?
So the judge didn't know then either.
Well, I think the judge was half asleep most of the time. Is that? Did your solicitors? They surely must have known about Peninsula.
Of course they knew about Peninsula. Of course they knew. They didn't want to use them. I think they said that they was available to help.
God. They even had their files sat in their
every
offices.
single episode, yeah, and that every single episode, it like shocking what we just uncover. Every single one, every week, without fail. Phil, do you agree?
Absolutely.
And I just assumed that we just not read anything about them yet. They were just in the queue. But what you're saying, Ian, and you're certain of this, there was no mention of Peninsula.
Unless my memory is so bad through the PTSD, I've forgot something. But as far as I can remember, Peninsula were never discussed. You'd have thought they'd have had Peninsula in, wouldn't you, as an expert witness?
Yeah, of course, without fail. I mean, the plant hire lady that didn't even know that you had tankers.
Well, they needed Sam Oxley, didn't they? Sam Ramage, because she was Nicky's mate. They became friends when Nicky took over Martin's role. Sam Oxley lived in Bottisford. Nicky lived in Grantham, very close proximity. They became friends, similar age.
Yeah, but they're the ones that I've seen their marketing videos. It's a shame I can't replay the one that I saw once.
Yeah, that's why we had them, Brad. They were the best. We was
they're actually the best of the best, and it's actually difficult to be a customer of them.
You had the top package as well, didn't you, Ian?
We did, Gold Star.
Yeah. And they're not a witness to anything.
And never mentioned.
No.
That's
My God.
Unbelievable. There you go. That's a new one to put on your list, Phil.
I've start compiling a list. It's going to way over 70.
Yeah.
But the latest ones are so outrageous, you couldn't forget them anyway. You know, I can't say whether I'm telling the truth or not. All right, okay. Things like that. It's just unbelievable, isn't it? Unbelievable.
Okay, we got about 3 minutes left, Phil. So let's.
Okay, so part of the external company.
Yes, had a gentleman come and do telehandler. We've done that one already. Carry on.
That's Sam's father, Malcolm Oxley. He did the fork truck training for many years. The Marooniacs had their fork truck license, and then they taught other people how to use the fork trucks on site.
Train the trainer, that's called.
That's right, Phil.
Which includes health and safety as well. All right,
Yeah.
carry on. Your understanding.
You're understanding that Sam Oxley and her father, part of external company, which offered health and safety advice and training.
Yes. Interesting enough, to date, pretty much nobody, albeit some employees have, but the ones that hate on the Greenfeeds case say that there was no health and safety whatsoever. The place was a shithole. The site was a shithole. Phil and I have been to the site ourselves. We went out our way to visit the site.
Just to finish off before we have the break, I've discovered this year the photographs that Steve Hunt's daughter took on site. I think it was the 13th of May 2017 with his grandchildren were all taken on one day on a Saturday afternoon. They're on the JCB Lodal, they're in the fast track, and then one photograph that someone's looked today on my social medias made me realise the significance of it. Steve Hunt's driving up the drive, yeah, you know, as you come out my site going up to the road, he's driving up there on the Scania. You'll have to go on my Facebook to look at it. And he's got his granddaughter on his knee, no seatbelt, and his grandson stood in the footwell. And we know he's driving now because this person's noticed the handbrake is off. So he's driving up the yard, up the drive. His daughters took a photograph that confirmed it was staged to send to the authorities, either the police or solicitors. I do not know.
Yeah, but does that not look bad on him, though? Surely.
It does, Brad. That's why they couldn't use them. He thought it would just look like, and obviously our solicitors thought, oh, look, we don't know if they portrayed them as being all on the same day, you see. I've been on his daughter's Facebook page. I took them earlier this year, and they're all time-stamped 13th of May, 2017. The grandchildren aren't even looking at the camera. There's one in a JCB Lodal, which I dare share it without editing it. You can't see a face in there. Why take a photograph of it? It's obvious. He thought he was doing it in a twisted way to portray the company had a total lack disregard for health and safety. But it's backfired on him, hasn't it?
Well,
I've shared a photograph.
It must affect his license.
Well, there you go. He's driving. He's right. He's driving up my. Someone said, but you don't know that he was driving or stopped. Let me tell you, every HGV driver will tell you this. When you stop the vehicle, the first thing you do, you pull on the handbrake. You would never, ever, ever sit there with your handbrake off.
When I looked at that photograph, I said, that kid's steering that truck.
Yeah.
She's got two hands on the steering wheel, like she's steering it.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, I've got a torrent of photos that I got sent recently from Steve Hunt, which I've shared. I've not really looked at them, to be honest, but I'm sure there'll be of interest at some stage to somebody. Okay, let's go to our first song. Who's doing this one?
Okay, shall we do? Let's do "Rockabye" by Clean Bandit.
Okay.
Call it love and devotion. Call it a mom's adoration. Foundation, a special bond of creation. For all the single moms out there going through frustration. Clean Bandit, China Ball, and Marie thing make them air.
She works the nights by the water. She's gone astray, so far away from her father's daughter. She just wants a life for a baby. All on her own, no one will come. She's got to save him.
Daily struggle.
She tells him, ooh, love, no one's ever gonna hurt you, love. I'm gonna give you all of my love. Nobody matters like you.
Stay up there.
She tells him your life ain't gonna be nothing like my life. You're gonna grow and have a good life. I'm gonna do what I got to
Stay up there. Stay up
so
there.
rockabye, baby, rockabye. I'm gonna rock you, rockabye, baby. Don't you cry. Somebody's got you, rockabye, baby.
fear, cause any obstacle come, you well prepare. And no, mama, you never shed tear, cause you have to set things year after year. And you give the youth love beyond compare. You find the school fee and the bus fare. When the pops disappear, in a wrong bar, can't find him nowhere. Steadily your workflow, everything you know, so you're not stop, no time for your dear.
Now she got a 6-year-old, trying to keep him warm, trying to keep out the cold. When he looks in her eyes, he don't know he is safe when she says, ooh, love, no one's ever gonna hurt you, love. I'm gonna give you all of my love. Nobody matters like you. So rock-a-bye, baby, rock-a-bye. I'm gonna rock you, rock-a-bye, baby, don't you cry. Somebody's got you, rock-a-bye, baby, rock-a-bye. I'm gonna rock you, rock-a-bye, baby, don't you cry.
With a bang, 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 alright then. Rock-a-bye, rock-a-bye. Rock-a-bye, rock-a-bye. Rock-a-bye, don't bother cry. Lift up your head, lift it up to the sky, yo. Rock-a-bye, don't bother cry. Angels around you, just joy your eye.
Now she got a 6-year-old, trying to keep him warm, trying to keep out the cold. When he looks in her eyes, he don't know he is safe when she says, she tells him, ooh, love, no one's ever gonna hurt you, love. I'm gonna give you all of my love. Nobody matters like you.
Stay up there,
She
stay up
tells him
there.
your life ain't gonna be nothing like my life. You're gonna grow and have a good life. I'm gonna do what I got to do. Yeah. So rock-a-bye, baby, rock-a-bye.
Rock-a-bye, rock-a-bye.
You rock-a-bye, baby, don't you cry.
Rock-a-bye, rock-a-bye.
Somebody's got you, rock-a-bye, baby, rock-a-bye.
Rock-a-bye, rock-a-bye.
You rock-a-bye, baby, don't you cry.
With a bang, 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 alright then. Rock-a-bye, don't bother cry. Lift up your head, lift it up to the sky, yo. Rock-a-bye, don't bother cry. Angels around you, just joy your eye car. Rock-a-bye, don't bother cry. Lift up your head, lift it up to the sky, yo. Rock-a-bye, don't bother cry. Angels around you, just joy your eye.
Okay, that was Rockabye. Just to remind listeners here, we're going through solicitor's notes from the trial that happened in the Greenfeeds case. We do this week in, week out, every Saturday till we get to the end of all the witnesses, which does include Gillian Leivers, which I understand will be towards the end of this series. So, Phil, we were at, remind me again.
We're middle of page 12, basically.
Yep.
They were brought into this business at Hillcrest by whom?
By Ian Leivers.
Do you know why Hillcrest brought Sam Oxley and her father's business on board?
Nick, previous guy, left.
Was it anything to do with FEMA's side of the business?
I was looking after FEMAS. The health and safety in that was a small part. To take the business forward, needed to have Sam Oxley on board.
To take the business forward into performance or any aspect of the business?
No, just trying to grow the business. Business was a really good business. That's another good one. So we're about 6 now. And you're saying this is going to go very tits up in a minute, Ian, is it? Liquid feed, absolutely brilliant. Farms all over the country taking it. We were trying to grow it.
Part of dealing with customers all over the country, they required any particular health and safety arrangements at Hillcrest?
Yes, documentation needed to be provided to any potential new supplier. With having Sam Oxley on board, we needed to be able to move the company forward.
Some of the companies buying from Hillcrest to move the company forward, did they require certain health and safety standards?
Yes, they did. I just want to make another observation for the sake of the listeners, and this is something I know with personal first-hand knowledge about dealing with blue chip companies. And I know Ian dealt with farmers and that sort of stuff, but effectively they need to have standards themselves as well. But when dealing with blue chip companies, you have to jump through hoops to become an approved supplier, buyer, if you want to call it that, of basically being in their business, because you're seen as an employee of the business, a representative of the business, and you must have high standards in the chain of custody, as I call it. So it's not straightforward. You can't just walk in there in a caravan and say, "Give us some chocolate, mate." You know, it doesn't work like that. You have to do pre-qualification questionnaires, deal with all the health and safety compliance. And one thing I will say, Phil and I discussed it very briefly in the break. We are both gobsmacked that we did not know Peninsula did not contribute anything towards this case, which absolutely, I'm going to be shocked me. Anyway,
they were the top, basically the top third-party health and safety provider in the country, and not only that, Greenfeeds were part of their top package, their gold standard. Not many companies would go to that length, basically, to cover their health and safety, but Greenfeeds did, but none of it was mentioned. None of it was mentioned, which I find laughable and gobsmackingly laughable.
It's like you want to pull your hair out. Thinking
let's not forget, from 2006 until 2011, when Nick left, when the first contract expired, that's who we had, Peninsula. And my business was very small. The business model did not change. All the risk assessments that they deemed appropriate were in place, but never one for entry to any tankers.
No.
And that's all I made. You've seen the setup. That's what we did.
Yeah. It just smacks of setup, doesn't it? It smacks of setup to me.
Well,
for somebody to come into the business and say, I didn't know you ran tankers because you didn't tell me. It's ridiculous. It's like standing on a station and saying, I didn't know you ran trains because you never told me. You know, just that everyone passed you every 3 minutes. You know, it's just crazy. Absolutely
well,
crazy.
that was not Peninsula that said that. It was the plant hire firm, wasn't it? Allied or whatever they're called.
Yeah, Oxley. Yeah. She only lived round the corner.
She lived in Bottisford. You drove through it when you came to Normanton. It's a couple of miles away. You go through the village of Bottisford every single day with the tankers.
Past her house every day.
I still don't understand how she got away with that. But anyway, that's what happened. So, along with many
cross-examination,
including a witness that says, "I cannot guarantee I'm telling the truth." Someone who's, I just don't. Anyway, carry on, Phil.
Did that requirement have anything to do, as far as you were aware, with the use of Sam Oxley and her father's company?
Yes.
Fair drawing that together to say one reason why Sam Oxley and her father's company brought in to assist on health and safety was because that was required by the customers.
He says, yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Where's you got that from then?
That's his response.
Yeah, but I mean, why has he suddenly decided that? I don't understand that, because I mean, we know that if it's a blue chip company like, say, Brickvic, they're going to want to see that you've got a certain standard of health and safety in your business. That's fine. They are a customer.
Well, Phil, can I also add to that? You know how strict and stringent everything had to be if you worked for Martin Fortune.
Yeah.
Now, I did the Brickvic contract through Martin.
All right.
Yep. So everything had to be in place.
He's a smashing bloke, Martin Fortune. I really like him.
Absolutely. Ex-RAF, if I remember right, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. And he's smart and he's clean and his family are the same. They're brilliant.
I went.
And he conducts himself exactly the same way. Even today, I speak to him not often, but I speak to him occasionally. Yeah, he's very, very helpful all the time.
Yeah,
really is. And I've had the pleasure of having equipment off him in the past. You know, he refurbs balers and briquetters and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good bloke. But yeah, he would make sure everything was dotted and crossed before he dealt with you. Because his client, if it was Britvic, which I think it probably was in this case, would be laying those terms down to him, basically.
Correct.
Yeah. So a particular customer called Britvic, here we go, wasn't particular.
Oh, this is me.
Yeah.
It was you questioning that. Wasn't particular a customer amongst numerous customers.
What did Britvic require?
They had a site visit, wanted docs sending to them in order to do that. Sam Oxley brought in and did it, required documentation. Britvic came back to have another visit and the contract was signed.
I wonder what that documentation was. I can hazard a guess. They would want to see your health and safety statement from your managing director. They'd want to see all the relevant method statements and risk assessments relating to handling their product.
Correct, Phil.
So they must have been in place.
Yeah, and then in turn, Sam Oxley and Martin Vardy went to the Britvic site in Leeds, which was that contract that we won. We was already doing Britvic work out of Chelmsford, and the other one is at Lutterworth Way. We was collecting through Martin from two other Britvic sites, and this was a fresh one in Leeds. And so we went to Britvic with Martin Vardy.
I do recall Martin Fortune had a license to build the ET2 machine.
Correct. I had an ET2.
Yeah, which is
it was
screw compactor, wasn't
correct.
It?
Wasn't as good as the Attritas, I don't think. The ET2, they were being built originally in Ripley, close to
yes.
And I had one of their machines, and I built a bin lift with it.
All right.
I put a tank on site at a state-of-the-art Arla site in Leeds. And so when they came out with the Dolabs of milk, they used to lift it up, go into the ET2, crush it. The bottles would go into the static packer skip. And then I set up the pumping equipment there and put it into a tanker. And then we collected the milk. So, of course, imagine the health and safety that I had to have in place to be on an Arla site.
Yeah, sure.
Every single one of my customers was blue chip.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Okay, right. There was no.
So what did Britvic require?
They had a site visit. We've just done that one. It's the next one.
Right. There was no designated health and safety person at Hillcrest.
No, Nick had left and Sam Oxley was installed.
Then she's the designated health and safety person. What's he talking about? It's just said, right, there was no designated health and safety person at Hillcrest. No, Nick had left and Sam Oxley was installed.
But this is where the whole oxymoron comes into it all and the complete conflicts with all their statements. Because I'll go back to what I've previously said in other episodes. If you could ever have the opportunity to get them all in the same room and say, what did you do? 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 I guarantee you'll end up in a shit show, but also you understand a bit about how the blame game works. oh no, I thought you did that. No, you did that. No, you did that. Because that's the way it happens.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, in legal lands, it doesn't happen like that. I mean, we know basically that the business had an infrastructure. It wasn't a fly-by-night model, and we've talked about this quite often. The interference in the business was within, and I go back to what I say from the start. Something happened that night that never ever happened before. I'm not stating the obvious that there was 2 deaths, but something happened that night, which was
murder, drugs.
Pardon?
Murder over drugs.
So something happened different that night that never happened before. The usual business was operating perfectly fine, and in all honesty, it seemed to be on the directory of that everybody was in the right mood to expand the business even further, even during Ian and Gillian's retirement. But something happened that night, which was, we may not get to the answer. I'd like to think we will, because someone needs to be held accountable for this, and it's certainly not Gillian. That's for sure. Anyway, let's carry on.
He told us Sam Oxley and her father's company used by Hillcrest to provide health and safety advice. Is that right?
Yes.
So MB jumps in here, Ian. Evidence that she was a credited person.
Okay, I'm not too sure who's. Okay, this is you now, Phil, again, I think.
Okay, the use of the company came from Ian Leivers. It was his idea.
Well, as I said earlier, we had a gentleman to do forklift course. Sam Oxley's father, he mentioned his daughter was in health and safety, and we may like to have a chat with her, and that's so came on board through the initial contact with her father. Actually, okay, fine. Well, I've got a picture in my mind here now, Ian.
Mm-hmm.
So Allied Plant, right, which is a plant hire company, yeah?
Not a plant hire company, it was called Allied Plant. What Malcolm did was fork truck training.
Right, so they were already involved in some form of health and safety, were they?
That's the work. She had her own little health and safety side of the business, and he did fork truck training. He worked out of Norris's plant hire yard in Bottisford, the JCB dealers where I purchased the JCBs from. So he was a friend of Steve Norris's, and that's how I came introduced to Malcolm. And so my guys used to go down to Norris's yard and do their fork truck training.
Right.
That's how
Bear in mind, previously said, I want to ask another question anyway. Bear in mind, previously said there was no training done on site, particularly in regards to forklift training, which has been mentioned by witnesses before. You're saying that's not the case. The references were made effectively. You're just taught on site, get on with it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, all this documentation went over to Kennedy's Law, by the way. All their licenses. We spent 5 years presenting evidence to them nearly on a daily basis. So
what did they do with that, Ian?
Pardon?
What did they do with that?
Buried it.
Makes no sense, though, does it? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And my second question was, I've lost my train of thought. That's very helpful, isn't it? Let me just go back to the question. Okay, let's just carry on. I'll come back to it. Go on, Phil.
No, evidence that she was an accredited person. Yeah, the use of Ian Leivers' role in relation to health and safety.
Well, as I said earlier, we had a gentleman to do we've just done that. Next one.
It's the next paragraph down. Ian Leivers' role in relation to health and safety.
Obviously, Ian Leivers is in charge. Everyone involved in health and safety, it's your own person to look after your own health and safety. Ian Leivers would have been involved in health and safety, but he employed Sam Oxley has become health and safety person at Hillcrest. Now, Phil, right?
Yeah.
She's right in some respects in terms of you've got to look after yourself, but also you've got to look after others as well. But we go back above to what we previously just talked about, toolbox talks and the like, and regular meetings and that sort of thing. This kind of gets dishwashy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Martin was very good at toolbox talks. He came from British Airways at East Midlands. That's what his job was over there. So you can imagine health and safety was paramount there. And it was excellent because that's what they did at East Midlands Airport, toolbox talks. And so he gave them on a regular basis. Very good. Very professional.
How often, Ian?
Oh, toolbox talks, you'd have one probably once every month, 6 weeks.
Okay. All right. Is that sufficient, Phil?
Yeah, it is. It is actually. If you do them too often, it just becomes a jolly up. Really, it just gets you off the factory floor to have a sit in a classroom sort of thing.
Yeah.
Half of them would fall asleep.
It's hard. It is hard to get their attention. I know that much. Yeah.
But if you go into big companies like that, I mean, I know it's Sims Metals when I was there. They used to do toolbox talks. They had method statements and risk assessments that were delivered to the guys, but they also had a system where everybody was tasked with pointing out unsafe acts during the week, and you might be targeted to come up with 3 or 4 unsafe acts that you saw. So you used to name the person that you saw and say what they were doing, and then that person would be brought in, basically say, we saw you doing this.
Oh, really?
So don't do it again. And that was an ongoing thing. It got boring after a while because it's a bit like going to confession in church. You sort of have to,
like being known as a grass, isn't it?
you have to dream up sins, basically. So it's very difficult to keep seeing things wrong with people working. Ratching on your workmates, as it were.
Yeah.
But they do it in the name of health and safety. But that's a bit like getting the speeding ticket in the name of safety. It's distasteful, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, let's carry on.
I don't know where I am now. Okay, so prior to Sam Oxley and Father coming on board, what was Ian Leivers' role in relation to health and safety?
Nick had left. Ian Leivers had been trying to appoint someone for health and safety, and that's what he did.
Is your understanding that Nick was the person in charge of health and safety before you were employed?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Again, do you remember here, Interactive? We're talking about Nick Bradshaw quite a lot, aren't we? With Martin Vardy. Now, Don't forget we lost someone who they brought into this case in 2005. So surely the police would have wanted to have interviewed Nick Bradshaw. Surely they would. Who set up the contract with Peninsula. Surely. We've heard his name mentioned several times by Martin Vardy. Yet Nick Bradshaw was never brought to court. Instead, they brought a young lad called Liam Holmes who worked there for 10 minutes, who threw cans into the can crusher.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that's quite interesting here, again, this is a common theme throughout this trial, is that there's just questions. And, from my perspective, they don't even care what answer's being given. They just want to read their questions out. You agree with me, Phil?
Yeah, they want it to coincide with the narrative. They're certainly not interested in cross-examination. As long as it supports the narrative, they're quite happy to move on. And that's why you can get away with saying things like, I can't swear I'm telling the truth. And then they just move on.
But like Ian just said there, the obvious question is, because I've not heard of this name Nick before. I don't know about you, Phil, have you?
Don't recall it, but...
Are you not on the stand now, Phil?
No, I
You're
can't
the
say
Leavers case trial.
Yeah.
It's not funny, but this is what actually happened in the Leavers case.
So who told you that?
I kind of picked up the laptop that was left over. I could see from it all the documentation that Nick doing health and safety. A lot of documents created and signed by Nick. Nick, to me, was the health and safety gentleman.
Yeah, this is all the health and safety that didn't exist according to the judge, isn't it?
Scant disregard for health and
Scant
safety.
disregard, that's it, yeah. Which documents were those?
Just general health and safety documents in Word documents. When you pick up someone's laptop, go through all the work, and you found out who did what. So there's specific tasks there in those documents then, basically is what you're saying.
What he's saying is he's just finding the files on the system, basically.
Yeah, but also who did what.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so there must have been an organogram somewhere, eh?
That's the point I'm making, yeah.
And of course he adopted them, or he wouldn't have been able to do the toolbox talks, would he?
No.
How old was
So
he, Ian?
Sorry.
Pardon?
How old was he?
Martin, I think he's perhaps about 5 years younger than me. So it'd be 58.
So at the
Sounds
time,
like an okay guy to me.
So far, but apparently it doesn't go so well in a minute. So,
right. So which documents were those? Oh no, we've done that. Remember Nick's surname?
I believe it's Bradshaw, Nick Bradshaw.
Here we go. Ta-da! We've got an health and safety guy named, but not called to court.
Yeah. Okay, let's carry on.
When you started at Hillcrest, did you receive any training?
Yes, I went on a FEMAS accredited course with a gentleman who worked for FEMAS, but did also do external courses as well.
Did you ask to go on that course?
Yes. But there's no objection from management to say that you can't do it.
So other than the course, you asked to go on FEMAS training, did you receive any training?
In what subject?
In health and safety when you started at Hillcrest?
No, I wasn't employed as health and safety person. I was employed in sales.
Other than FEMAS training you asked for, did you receive any training?
Yes, on the first day I had induction, covered off things, most of the site, who to report to, tour of site, basic induction day.
On induction day, who gave you that induction?
Ian Leivers, in conjunction with Lance Leivers, transport manager. Who
told you Lance Leivers was the transport manager?
Just before that, Ian, I'm just going back to one of the other questions. Yeah. If he's involved in sales, would he need to go on a FEMAS accredited course? I suppose it would help, wouldn't it?
Well, as I said, he's picked up the laptop from Nick Bradshaw that did FEMAS and health and safety. He's confirmed this. And so, but what Martin's not doing is not nailing his name to the mast, as he's saying he was doing fully health and safety, is brushing over it to FEMAS as Nicky Johnson did. Nobody wanted to be responsible for anything. And you can see here the prosecution barrister, what a sort of a question was that? Who told him that my son was a transport manager? Come on. Where's it? Where's it going? Well, we know where it's going. It's outrageous.
Okay, go on to the next question. Who told you?
Who told you Lance Leivers was transport manager?
He is a strange response here. It says, I knew Lance Leivers was transport manager.
How did you know?
When I started on day one, Lance Leivers told me I'm transport manager.
It's an obvious thing, isn't it? Come on. You've got Lance there with lorry drivers coming in. Martin's come to do work, to do as he says. Let's leave it with just sales at the moment. Let's leave it just with sales. What sort of an induction did I really need to give Martin Vardy when he was coming in to do just sales. If he's a salesman, what? Tell me, what? He's sitting in the office doing sales, and the prosecution barrister's asking him, how does he know Lance Leivers is the transport manager? I suppose he should have asked him, do you know who Lance Leivers is? Do you know who he's related to? Because that's how outrageous all of this is.
Let's go back one. I've got a question here. At this time, was there a transport manager on the yard?
Lance.
So what was it? Well, Lance was the transport manager.
Yes.
Oh, okay, fine. All right, go. Carry on then.
He was the transport manager when Stuart Brown arrived. That's what he was doing.
So Stuart Brown took over from Lance, yeah?
He was there to guide Lance, as I've always said. Lance was a young lad. He had his father there running the business. I bought Stuart Brown in because he was more experienced in transport than me. And that was the whole purpose. Aaron Shelley was there, took over my job as the MD. He was the accountant like Nick Bradshaw was, very smart. And when Stuart was off, when he got over to Spain, actually Aaron took over running the business. You know, we'd semi-retired.
Okay. All right, Phil, carry on.
Lance Leivers told you he was transport manager.
Yes, along with Ian Leivers as well.
I'll tell you what, let's meet, because I cannot remember the day actually. But let's just look at this. So he knows Lance because he knows me. So we sat in the office together. You've been to the office, and I'm telling Nick how we're going to go about things. And as he said, give him his induction. And then Lance is going to pipe up, hey, Martin, I'm transport manager, pal. Did you know? I mean, that's how outrageous all of this is. Lance is sat at his desk, and we're going over how we knew that Lance was the transport manager.
Well, if it was me, I think it would more or less pan out by me saying to you, if I get an order, who do I go to get it delivered?
Quite right, Phil.
That would be my concern, because I'm after a sale and I need to make sure it gets to the client. I need to know how it's going to get there. Who's going to organise it?
I don't think this questioning had any importance at all, in my view, of setting on. If we're like, let's just leave him as a salesperson. And we all sat down in the office having a tea and cakes. And we're talking, how does he know that Lance was the transport manager? Outrageous.
Well, I think we've pretty much nailed that down, haven't we?
Well, I think it does have relevance, Ian, to be honest.
Pardon?
It does have relevance, to be honest.
Yeah, well, think about it, Brad. How did that conversation? You've seen the office. We all sat at desks, or we've gone up to the meeting room. And that's his first day. I'd make it easy on the first day, as I would all my staff. I gave Martin a company car. He had free diesel. You know, what more could I do? He had the facility to go over to my home in Spain. He had a mobile phone paid for by me. You know, come on, Martin. That's how I was, laid back I was. Come on, let's go upstairs. Come on, lads, you're going to come up. Right, shall we talk about the football first? And that's how the day would have gone. Nice and easy. But the prosecution barrister said, how did you know that Lance was the transport manager? And it keeps going on and on and about it.
That's the bit I don't understand. Is why does he keep going on about it, for God's sakes? He must have asked him about 4 or 5 times here.
They wanted him to say something like...
they never told me.
Yes.
Yeah. The same as they never told Sam Oxley that you're on Sankers.
Yeah.
Big secret.
Ian, did I just hear you say you offer new employees to stay at your place in Spain from day one?
Well, such as Martin, people like the Marooniacs were always offered it, but they always declined. Tim Corcoran, hostile witness. He gave a statement. He went over. Colin Radford did, the transport manager before, who I should never have sacked. That was Dave Marooniak manipulated me. Never, ever, ever should I have got rid of Colin Radford, one of the hardest working men that I ever employed. He made me. Biggest regret of my life. The police went to him, by the way. Small statement, never used.
All right. Okay, we've only got 4 more minutes left for this next segment. Phil, carry on.
So, Lance Leivers told you he was transport manager.
Well, we've done that already, Phil.
Well, we're doing it again, Brad.
Okay. I knew Lance Leivers was transport manager.
What do you mean, Ian Leivers? What do you mean? Sorry.
Ian Leivers met you're messing me up here, man. You're jumping. Ian Leivers met me on the day and welcomed me on site. You know Lance Leivers, my son. Lance Leivers, transport manager, and Lance Leivers said, yes, I'm transport manager.
People who told you Lance Leivers was transport manager were Lance Leivers and Ian Leivers.
Yes.
What the fuck? When you left the company in 2013, do you remember the name of the person who took over from you?
No, I can't. No, I think it was Alex, but nearly 10 years ago now.
This isn't a memory test.
Carry on.
If it would assist your memory to look at a statement you made in 2019, closer to time, that can be done. Would it assist your memory?
Yes, if I have a copy.
Have you seen this statement recently?
I just had 5 minutes outside the courtroom with it.
Read the statement to yourself now. That may be helpful.
Yes, please.
Second page of your statement, second paragraph, deals with the topic, just asking about. Does that paragraph help you remember what I was asking you about?
Yes, I thought it was Alex that took over. This is the judge now.
Yeah, the judge says Alex, both male and female, remember?
Female.
You say you can't remember her surname and say that in statement, that right?
Yes.
What about Nikki or Nicola? What did she do?
Nikki worked on the site and she was coming into the office and she was going to pick up some of the work I did. Can't remember exactly what she was picking up. I left.
You didn't have anything to do with health and safety?
Nothing to do with being a health and safety person. I was involved in FEMAS audits and health and safety embedded in that. See, that's an oxymoron in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
No, but
I'll tell you what, I see where this was going. Now, if I read Martin Vardy's statement, he'd be mentioning their Lance, and this prosecution barrister knew this, and he was hoping to trip him because intentionally the police only gave Martin, as he's just said there, his statement to read a few minutes before he came into court, and so he was trying to trip him, and then he was going to say, well, there's your statement, you're a liar. That's what the game was here.
Okay, on that note, we're going to have to go to our next break. Ian, do you want to suggest a song, mate?
Okay, then, with all of this, let's go to, let's have Linkin Park in the end.
Oh, yeah, I love that song. Okay, let's play that now.
It starts with
one thing. I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind. I designed this rhyme to explain in due time. All I know, time is a valuable thing. Watch it fly by as the pendulum swings. Watch it count down to the end of the day. The clock takes life away. It's so unreal. Didn't look out below. Watch the time go right out the window. Trying to hold on to didn't even know I wasted it all just to watch you go. I kept everything inside, and even though I tried, it all fell apart. What it meant to be will eventually be a memory of a time when I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. One thing, I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind. I designed this rhyme to remind myself how I tried so hard. In spite of the way you were
mocking me, acting like I was part of your property. Remembering all the times you fought with me, I'm surprised it got so. Things aren't the way they were before. You wouldn't even recognize me anymore. Not that you knew me back then, but it all comes back to me in the end. You kept everything inside, and even though I tried, it all fell apart. What it meant to me will eventually be a memory of a time when I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I've put my trust in you, pushed as far as I can go. For all this, there's only one thing you should know. I've put my trust in you, pushed as far as I can go. For all this, there's only one thing you should know. I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all, but in the end, it doesn't even matter.
Hi, it's Steve Little here. Rev to some people. Just telling you about my show, Steve's Sunday Service, every Sunday between... Oh, wait a minute, I'm not having this. Join me every Sunday morning between 8 and 10 o'clock for some of the most uplifting Christian songs you've probably ever heard in your life. We'll have thought for the day, we'll have readings, we'll have Bible stories, but we'll have everything connected to you that will help you get to church on a Sunday with me, Steve Little. Yeah, Steve, Reverend Steve, with Steve Sunday Service every Sunday between 8 and 10 o'clock, only here on Dreamcatcher Radio. Play it, boys.
Soul is full, my lips will sing your praise.
This is
Dreamcatcher Radio.
Okay, that was In the End by Linkin Park. I really enjoyed that, actually. It's really good. I love the songs that various guests play on here. Quite often, I add them to the playlist when we don't have them on our playlist. And that's certainly one we don't have on our playlist, so I'm going to add that one there. So we're carrying on with the witness statement, the solicitor's notes from... being on the stand. And Phil, where are we at?
Well, I'm just going to say, remember whether Nikki called Nicola.
Can't remember.
Full-time employee.
Part-time when I worked there.
Part-time on site, coming into the office whilst you were there, or after you left?
After I left, she was coming in.
How would he know it? He wasn't there.
That's a good point, actually. That doesn't make sense, does it?
In fact, that's the very next line here. How did you know she was coming after you left?
She was part-time when I was there. She mentioned she wanted to have a full-time work and mentioned she was going to work in the office. It's minor detail. Anyway, carry on.
Do you remember the conversation between Sam Oxley and Gillian Leivers about who was taking over health and safety side of things?
No.
That's the first time we've mentioned Gillian, isn't it? I mean, it's just amazing. Whilst you worked at Hillcrest, who was in charge of the company?
Ian Leivers was in charge of the company. Gillian Leivers worked in the office along with Lance Leivers. Gillian Leivers just coming back. She had been off for a few months, coming back to work. Came into the office a few times a week, early.
Sorry, do you remember here? This is a period.
Let me just finish off the sentence because I'm almost there, Ian. Or on just to herself back into full-time work. Go ahead.
Okay. When I set Martin on, Gillian was out of the office for a complete year because it was when we was going through our difficult times. And even though we were back together, she was over in Spain for a long time. So, yeah, that's what it's meaning there. It says a few months. It was almost a year.
Right. Okay, that was domestic issues, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, go on, Phil.
What year was this, Ian?
This was 2011, 2012, I think. So when it's talking 2013, I don't think it was that far on. It was the time that Martin was working for me. Gillian wasn't there a lot. She was away. From memory.
Well, according to what they're trying to say, is Gillian was in charge of the company all the time.
Oh, and I'll tell you something else that happened, Phil. And all this went over to Kennedy's Law. Gillian had operations on her feet, and so she was bedridden. So I think that was a few months. Of course, Gillian can't answer for herself. All this went to Kennedy's Law, where she had to have her feet reconstructed after standing on her feet for decades, cutting hair with high heels on. Both her feet she had to be reconstructed. And I think this was a period when Martin was there also.
What happened to that information?
Buried it.
So who was your boss?
I reported to Ian Leivers because he was on site majority of the time. I reported to Ian Leivers.
On site majority of time during the 18 months you were there?
Yes.
Did you have interaction with Gillian Leivers?
Yes, when she was in the office, we worked together. And as you do as a small business, we helped each other and do various tasks together.
When you were at Hillcrest, were you aware of anyone getting into tankers?
Okay. No, from day one, it was always discussed about the tankers that you never, ever, ever enter a tanker. That's what's written here, by the way. It's not me exaggerating it. You never, ever, ever enter a tanker at all. And that was cascaded right through and through the business. At no point should anyone enter a tanker.
Mm-hmm.
You've got it next. Who told you that?
Yeah. Who told you that?
Ian Leivers mentioned it to me. Ian Leivers mentioned it to me. I was asking various questions about the whole business.
When did Ian Leivers mention it to you? Okay, now.
In the first week of me working there, asking numerous questions, industry new to me, I was asking question after question for the first few weeks about everything. She sounds like me.
It's a he, Martin.
Oh, sorry. I apologise. I was looking at what's her name? Sorry. Questions about the tankers asked of me. What questions did you ask?
Yeah, okay. So what questions did you ask?
How to distribute pig feed food? How come off tanker? Where does it go? Similar questions.
Did you ask how you clean out tankers?
Yes, discuss tankers sent away to be cleaned out if they needed to. What does that mean, Ian?
If ever we did need to. At the time, in the early 2000s, up to I think around about 2010, I was doing work for Volac, and we used to send them away to be cleaned, depending if I was carrying their lactose or their whey concentrate. So at some points I did, but not for the Greenfeeds confectionery blend. That was earlier days. So I would have explained to Martin Yes, I've had tankers cleaned in the past. I bought 2 new tankers for a job in 2003, 2004. They were Clayton tankers that had CIP equipment on them for when I was doing actually human food, milk, grade milk. And we used to have them CIP'd. So I would be telling him stories of when I used to send tankers away to be washed. We've sent tankers before to Treasures, who were just across the road from me down the A1. And they've done tank cleans before. But again, it wasn't part of the practices and procedures for the Greenfeeds confectionery blend. This was for when I was carrying other products in the earlier days.
Right, gotcha. Okay.
You're told why tankers might need cleaning out.
Only talked about tanker needed cleaning out if it was blocked. Had new pumps fitted to tankers whilst I was there. Cleaned the tank out. If they didn't able to clean tankers out, they would use the pump.
Who told you?
It's talking about the adaptions, isn't it? Really, they never blocked. It's talking about when I went from 2.5 inch up to 6 inch pipework that Tim Walker built to go to the jaw-up pumps. Previous to Tim, and Martin would remember him, I used to outsource the fabrication work to a fella called Dave Wright up at Ollerton. It was Dave that did all the fabrication before Tim arrived. And it was Dave Wright actually on the tanker, which David Wilmot sadly died after being pushed onto the PTO backwards. He built a complete metal enclosure around the PTO shaft. I could have settled for plastic covers, but I knew what happened. So Dave actually built that enclosure. But of course, that wasn't even good enough for me. And so Tim Walker changed the entire, we took off the PTO system and we put an hydraulic system on that tanker in around about, I think, 2013. We sent all the invoices for this work over to Kennedy's Law.
What happened to them?
Buried it.
Just a quick one. I'm reading forward here whilst you're talking, Ian. Was this a learning curve in the business at this point?
A learning curve in what relation, Brad?
In generally, because it goes on to blockages shortly, and I've gone down.
This blockage subject does keep appearing, does it? But we didn't get blockages. It's impossible to get blockages. So blockages was invented after the deaths. And to this day, as I challenge all and everyone, even you two, please tell me how a blockage could occur. What was it? And how was it cleared? And where was it based in the tank? Because the free flow pipe had got no relevance to emptying the tanker. So we talk about the free flow pipe a lot. No wonder I had to see medical help, isn't it? Because everyone talks about this theme called blockage. But to this day, no one's ever explained to me where it is.
What's the name of that product? The cube.
It's a company, Brad. I know what you're going to say. Rumenko.
That's it, Rumenko. Bear with me, Ian. Bear with me. Phil, carry on.
What? Reading out this statement, yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So, who told you the tankers would get blocked?
Sometimes when the drivers come back from delivering pig feed, may not be able to get whole pig feed off, may have got stuck in tanker. Now, my question is, Ian, Rumenko, you didn't have Rumenko at that stage, and that's what Steve Hunt was saying. Rumenko was your biggest problem.
Remember, as I described earlier, sometimes the product being very viscous and the lobes wear. When the lobes wear, you get slip, and sometimes you would bring some back, but it wasn't a problem. Just reload on top, and if it was a very viscous one before, so it's very thick at the bottom, just reload on top of it. It'll be a 40% one. It's mixed together, and it will come off, or change the lobes. We get mistaken, don't we, by blockage and lobe wear. when lobes were, and I pushed them as far as I could, but when you're taking over an hour to tip, that's the time, change the lobes. And the lobes, they could have been a grander time. Martin and I even changed, we went on to another pump, and Martin found this, and he worked with a guy called Netch. Now, the Netch pump was belt driven, and the casings of the pumps used to wear as well, because milk is very acidic. It would rot the casings. And the Netch pump had actually a rubber lining that went into the pump. But we tried it, and it was at great expense, but it didn't work for us. We always went back to the Jorot pumps. We went to Borger pumps, Kremlin de Creme, German manufactured. The owner of Borger are actually pig farmers themselves, so they understand the industry. But again, I always found the Jorot pumps, the better ones, the cheaper ones actually. You could almost buy a Jorot pump and not even change the lobes and afford to change the entire pump for another pump. They're Italian made. And I started with Jorot pumps in the early 90s. And I tried all these other pumps through the time. And don't get me wrong, for Tim to change the system to adapt it to take another pump, to house that and accept that, it cost me a lot of money. But it didn't matter, because I put my heart and soul into the business. All I wanted was for it to run smoothly. So as we did, Gillian and I retired, semi-retired at that time, we'd get everything perfect. Tim and I never stopped developing the business. Never, ever stopped.
Okay. Phil, have you got any questions?
No, not really.
Okay, carry on then.
Who told you the tankers got blocked?
Sometimes when drivers came back from delivering pig food, may not be able to get the whole pig food off, may have got stuck in the tanker.
Who told you the tankers got blocked?
The drivers.
How were you aware of what the drivers were saying?
I worked on the site, so I got involved on numerous jobs. I talked to people, most people talk about job, find out about how various things of the site worked. When drivers coming back on site may not be able to get pig feed off, might be stuck in tanker. Ian Leivers had a pump fitted to the tanker, enable the pig feed. Okay, yeah, I'll just carry on for the sake of it. Pig feed to come off the tanker better.
That's when I'll be talking about the Netch pump, Brad. And let's not also forget, Brad, at this period of time when Martin was working for me, all those drivers that made the statements that was hidden, that I brought down to you, that we read through on the first episodes, none of those drivers ever said that they couldn't, or should I say, saw anyone in a tanker. But again, as I say, because two people's lost their lives and the word blockage has been invented, it's carried on a theme, isn't it? And so it's put down in Martin's statement. The police have been to him, and he's saying now that the drivers come back and said the word blockage. But it would never be blockage. It would be that some of the load wouldn't come off. But it's down to lobe wear. And to this day, nobody, as I've repeated many, many times,
yeah. This is totally off topic, right? It really is totally off south. But words are very important, especially in the courtroom as well, and in media. One thing that I find really interesting is when narratives are set in the media. So basically, politicians are set out for the day saying this is the script, and they always use the same words. For example, illegal immigration. They're all fighting age men invading our country, yeah? And that's the narrative across the entire media. And that's what everybody thinks about. Because once the narrative is set, they drill it home enough. It's still being the same tone said now. Set the template and then basically go from there. And use the same word over and over and over and over and over again till it sinks into your brain. You know, all we hear is fighting age men. I know it's off topic and everybody's got opinions on the subject matter, and this is not about that. But where we talk about this here, blockages, blocked, if could be, would be, maybe, pumps, you know, whatever. It's the same thing. That's what's happened throughout this trial.
Hey, Brad, yeah, let me also say, you know how I said I've got to 6-inch pipe? Can you imagine if I had blockages, I'd go up to 12-inch pipe. And you know what? I can go up to a bigger jaw rock pump, a VL27. But let's never, ever forget that I'm delivering it into my farmers' tanks, should I say, static tanks, enclosed tanks, that they never, ever, ever enter. And they draw it from their tank in 2-inch pipes. 2-inch. So if someone was ever going to get a blockage, it would be my farmer.
Yeah. I can concur based on the research I've done. I must admit it's not extensive, but from a few farms that I spoke to, 6 inches is not normal.
Yeah.
So I can verify that.
And we did that not for only one purpose, to tip quicker, more back pressure to the pump. That's what Stuart Brown brought to me. That's what he learned from Mike Bragg from Mellow Flow Trans.
Okay, Phil, carry on.
I was just going to say I concur with what you say.
Okay.
You can lie to the general public as long as you stick to your story and lie often enough.
Yeah, just regurgitate it all the time, Phil.
Yeah, they do it in America all the time in their politics, and they can stand there and tell barefaced lies. If you lie to somebody often enough with enough vigor, eventually they will believe it as a truth.
I watched the great. I know we're going off topic, but it's relevant to this. About Trump with his pond thing or whatever you call it. Yeah, where basically he's now saying he didn't recommend the contractor. He didn't know who did it. Yet, you know, you can easily play a video of him saying just beforehand, and I've just witnessed it whilst on a break actually, where he's recommending the contractor. He knows everything about pools and all this sort of stuff. Yet he went on afterwards saying, "I don't know the guy." Blah blah blah. I mean, how do you get away with that sort of stuff? I mean, he's constant. He is the worst person ever that I've ever known in society to be in politics. It's surreal. But the point being is, if you repeat, people will start believing it, and also they get bored. They will get bored and just think, "Oh, right, it's just him. That's just who he is." You know, and they just accept it. It's shocking, really. That's how mentality works. Anyway, we've got to crack on.
Yeah. So you started work 18 months before April 2013, towards the end of 2011. Is that right?
I thought it started in 2012.
Started in 2012. How long was it after starting that you were aware that there were blockages in tankers?
Okay, here we go. Pretty much within the first month. It wasn't a daily thing. It might have just... Okay, this is quite interesting. It might have been just a one-off within the first month. So one time in a month is what he's saying.
Yeah, but it was a blockage. That terrible word, wasn't it?
That's what he's saying, yeah.
Yeah. So within the first month in 2012, when you started, you were aware there were blockages in tankers.
Okay, he's saying not blockages. Pig feed wouldn't always come off the tanker. Pump were to get pig feed off.
First time you became aware of this issue, who told you about it?
The drivers that delivered the pig feed.
None of the customers were moaning, were they?
Well, he says once here as well, but in that statement, it's plural. And this is the problem.
So drivers, first time you became aware of it, who was that? Can you remember?
It will have been a driver. I can't remember who now.
Wouldn't have been Richard Draycott, would it? Where he wanted to get done early and not go out. Got a problem. Got a problem with pump. No. Set like concrete.
Yeah. Remember where the conversation took place?
At work on the yard.
On the yard, not in the office.
No, the drivers came in the office. The drivers on the yard. It could have been either of those two areas. So either or, basically.
That's a bit strange, that, because he could be talking about drivers who drive the telehandler or the forklift truck, as opposed to somebody that drives a tanker.
Yeah, could be. Oh, obviously, also the skips as well, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Because there's been lots of confusion about that as well during this series.
So, first time you were told, remember where that conversation took place?
Can't say 2022, now left it. Huh? Oh, it's 2022. Okay, fine. Now left in 2013. Can't remember exact location.
Anyone else present when you had this conversation with the driver?
I can't remember at all, no.
Discuss the issue of blockages within Leivers?
Yes, I would have done, yes. Okay, as he's here, Gillian Leivers.
Yeah, as we say, I've just described it, haven't I? Nobody could ever describe to me what a blockage is. It's impossible to get a blockage. I wouldn't have invested all the money and all my resources. I wouldn't have remortgaged my home by £100,000. I wouldn't have sold one of my homes in Spain and sunk that money in. I wouldn't have cashed all my pensions in. Lance actually remortgaged his cottage by £100,000, all in this period, to invest in the company. If we had a blockage, would have changed, and like you've just said, Brad, gone bigger pipes. But the product went through 10 mil grinders, macerators, and then over a 10 mil screen. And so I wanted the product to be perfect. How could it block? There was no seagulls getting in, not unless someone was throwing something in intentionally or a package dropped in. Then you would get a blockage.
Yeah. Okay. Seagulls goes back to one of the other written statements where a seagull entered a tanker, which I can't believe for a month or some days. So, anyway, carry on, Phil.
Yeah, I was just in my mind's eye trying to imagine how you would get a large package to block the entrance to the pump.
Well, it's just by the sucking of it, wouldn't it? Surely.
Yeah, but it probably wouldn't fit through the bottom channel, would it?
I don't think it'd get past the 90-degree bend. And get it down the pipe to the pump. It could do, Phil, but we don't know, do we?
But you'd have to lob that package through the 18-inch hole in the baffle to get it into the arse end.
Hang on, if it was floating on the load as it was going down,
that's what I was thinking.
Got to the 18-inch hole, it's drawing quicker, and gradually it would float through that, and then as it goes down further, potentially got into the 90-degree bend, or down to the pump, because we do know the pump was tampered with, don't we?
Yeah, or just close to the pump, basically, is my thinking. I kind of, it sounds bad because we've got no evidence, but it seems to make more sense.
I agree. It's speculation, Brad. I agree. But don't forget, many staff came forward saying to me the Marooniacs were drug dealers. We know that Gavin Rawson had cannabis and cocaine in his body. Yeah. We know he came to Gillian that week for £1,000 loan. We know Michael Wayne Darwin was down there at the scene, heavily involved with drugs. And so it just rings out, doesn't it? Drugs. Gavin sustained an head injury. The coroner didn't say that could have been any causation of death. He actually stated that if the witnesses' statements can be believed, they drowned. Mm-hmm. That's where he got his conclusion from. If he can believe what the witnesses were saying. Well, we can't, can we?
Yeah, well, the thing that also bothers me is they're both tall enough to get out and fit enough to get out of the tanker, even if they're wet through.
Yes, Brad.
With the help of staff.
Yes.
And also the scratch marks on the side of the tanker, the hand scratch marks.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
didn't need to do that.
True.
The
And the injuries to Nathan's legs. How did he get to his legs?
But I don't know. Like I say, it's just we can only. I mean, we like I say at this juncture, we don't know what happens, but we know something wasn't normal that happened that night.
Well, why did they all lie? That's the thing. Why lie if entering tankers to clean them out or get blockages? Why lie? I remember Steve Hunt on that recording with Lee Price. He says it was very preventable getting into tankers. Why did he say it so sternly? Very preventable. But then he says, but Stuart Brown told him to get in.
Stuart also
Nobody in that mixing shed more than Steve Hunt. Several times a day, every day.
Stuart also said during that call that something shady happened that night.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know what that word meant, so I had to research it.
Yeah.
And it's a common phrase for basically dodgy as fuck.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense, does it? Then just look how hostile he is, Brad. I'm gonna have a word with Caroline when she comes on Thursday. I'd like you to interview Caroline and Laura. It was coming round here in 2023 and 2024, all the time for coffees, sending his love and best regards to Gillian. But look at him now, saying he said that she was always going to get. I heard that one with that call with Lee Price. It was corporate, man. She was always getting it, and he's attacking her. What changed?
Well, in my opinion, I don't think he really knows what he's talking about. But
I agree.
But that being said, his grievance is nothing to do with Gillian. It's purely his pension. He was all right.
Well, it wasn't down to me. I guess again, for him to understand, the lease I signed with Package Feeds was on the 5th of February 2020. And after that, I had no involvement with the business at all. For a very small period of time, they did transfer money over to pay the drivers, and then that stopped. They took over. So I had no involvement with that business. How could I when they took over it in its entirety? It was down to them. I've not robbed anyone of a single penny. And if this is his grievance, take it forward. Put the claim forward, because I've got nothing to hide. But anyway, that has no relevance to this case, does it?
Not really, no. But he's got personal knowledge from speaking. I mean, he was the one that organised Richard Draycott to come on the radio, which I was very much grateful for.
Yeah.
Can
you imagine the measure of the man if a tanker was stuck in that mixing shed trying to clear this bogus blockage, and he's got to tip a skip for Perry to come in to go to another factory? Because let me tell you, if ever you didn't service a factory, as Phil knows, the factory comes to a standstill.
Yeah, I get that.
You can look out there.
Okay, let's carry on.
The thing is, though, this guy has stated quite vehemently that you never, ever go into tankers.
All the drivers have said that, Phil.
Yeah.
Not one.
Absolutely.
As basically, that's one fact that's been consistent, and it's very hard to get consistent facts. And it's true. They've all lied. Not one person, in terms of the witnesses we read out, in terms of the yard staff, has been consistent. After 5 years, they couldn't even keep the story straight after 5 years of preparation. And bear in mind, the Romaniacs and their cohorts all were together, and they can't even get their story straight, even after all that time. Anyway, let's carry on with this, because we've only got about 4 minutes.
To prove that they went into tankers, Dave Maruniak was prepared to chuck himself under the bus, wasn't he? Because Dave Maruniak said he came up with the actual procedure, and that the management didn't even know about it.
Yeah, but he's probably that thick he doesn't realise that he actually said that.
He didn't. That's quite funny. He sort of stood back and thought, "You're helping me here." He couldn't believe it.
Yeah, crazy bugger.
Right, is that on the list?
Right.
As well?
So the bottom of page 187.
Phil, is that on the list as well? That one?
No.
Can you make sure it's on the list?
Yeah.
All right, fine. Carry on.
The bottom of page 187. Did you discuss the issue of blockages with Ian Leivers?
Oh man, please don't. Okay, yeah, yes, I have done so.
Did you have many conversations with him about it?
Yes, I did.
Did you have many conversations with him about it?
I had many conversations with Ian Leivers about many things. That would have been one of the many things that we talked about.
Told us aware of issues with tankers having blockages, is that right?
Yes.
Know what caused blockages?
No, I don't know. No.
Was it to do with them having sludge in the bottom of the tank?
Interesting response here. I can't remember.
Have a look at your statement, not a memory test. So MV.
Here's something said here, Phil, for the first time. Sludge.
Sludge in tanker. Is that what you're referring to?
Carry on.
What caused the issue with blockages?
It could have been a few things. Sludge could have been one of them. Could have been others as well.
Well, I'd like to know what the others were. I can concur with sludgy type material, but it would always...
It actually is true. The first time throughout this series, the word sludge has been used.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But sludge isn't going to block a tanker.
No, it's not, Phil, is it?
Is it, heck?
No, it's not.
These things can suck a house brick over 300 yards.
Correct.
I mean, a bit of sludge is not going to hurt it, is it?
No. Well, I suppose that'll get buried in due course, will it?
Probably. Did you ask him how inside of tankers were cleaned?
We spoke about how...
Sorry, we've changed now from blockages to cleaning tankers. This is where it all gets confusing all the time, isn't it? I want one or the other. Because I didn't need to clean a tanker out.
The whole point is, though, right, throughout this series, we've identified that we're running from a list of questions, and nothing exciting ever happens in the questioning throughout of all these witnesses. Okay, we spoke about how tankers cleaned and installation of new pumps on board the tankers. No, we haven't seen any discussion about installation of new pumps on board. Was the best way the tankers were cleaned out. Any other way tankers cleaned out was by them being sent away to be cleaned out, away to another site.
How did you know tankers were sent away to be cleaned?
Discussion I had with Ian Leivers during initial part of work there.
Something Ian Leivers told you or you told him?
Something I may have asked. How do you clean a tanker out? I may have asked that question early on. When you are new to a business, you ask loads of questions, which is fair play. I agree. It's the best way.
It is. May have asked that question early on. What reply did Ian Leivers give to the question you may have asked?
Send tankers away to be cleaned inside, but at no point, oh, there you go, Ian, ever enter a tanker. As I worked with Ian Leivers, we had pumps fitted on tankers, pumps there, blow out all pig feed off, and worked brilliantly. On that note, we need to finish up. Phil, do you want to do a final song?
Yeah, this is called Valhalla Calling. And I'll send you the link.
Yeah, you're going to have to. It definitely won't be on my playlist.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's play that now. Ian, thanks for your time. Phil, thank you for your time. And we're doing this in the evening. It's pre-recorded and it'll be aired. Yeah. All right, as per normal. All right, good night, guys.
Good night.
In the cold wind blow.
Shadows in the night.
but the stars still glow. If I fall tonight, let the whole world know.
Calling me home where the old gods stand, through the storm and the blood red sand. The sky falls down and the rivers run slow. Hear my name in the winter snow.
Steel in the hand when the long ships sail, cold in the lungs when the night winds wail. Came from the frost where the brave don't fail. Every scar got a story to tell. Drums in the dark when the war horns cry. Storm in the chest like the northern sky. If I walk through fire, I don't ask why. Kings rise once, but the legends never die. I don't run when the thunder crack. Stand my ground when the wolves attack. Whole world cold, but I build like stone. If the crown fall down, I'll take that throne.
Calling me home through the fire and snow. Voices of the north in the cold wind blow.
Shadows in the night, but the stars still glow. If I fall tonight, let the whole world know.
Calling me home where the old gods stand, through the storm and the blood red sand. The sky falls down and the rivers run slow. Hear my name in the winter snow.
Yeah, run through the storm with a heart that's cold. Fire in the soul, never doing what I'm told. Raised in the north where the warriors grow. Blood on the shield when the battle horns blow. Look at the bass when the rhythm collide. Thunder inside when the lightning strike. Living like wolves in the dead of the night. If you stand in the way, then you better take flight. I bring the frost when I step in the zone. Voice like thunder when I'm ripping the throne. Legends rise where the brave have grown. Now the whole world here when the north wind moans.
Warrior heart, never fall apart. Through the storm, we are reborn. Calling me home through the fire and snow. Voices of the north in the cold wind blow.
Shadows in the night, but the stars still glow.